Hey guys, welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be talking about zeros, specifically how we're going to play zeros. I'll be covering everything from nodes, the tag system, skills, bind chaining, bossing, as well as training. So let's get right into it. The first thing is going to be nodes. Now, what set of nodes do you need to play a zero? Essentially, for training, we only need one set of node and it's complementary. So in this case, it's going to be the Wind Cutter and Giga Crash series, and it's basically the three Cyclone looking things, and also the complement to it, which is the same set of skill, just boosting different nodes. So these are the two particular nodes that you use for training and bossing. And then for bossing specifically, we also have a boost node for the Piercing Thrust, Moonstrike, and Flash Assault, as well as the complement to it, which is again the same skills but just in different order. And those are the skills that you essentially use for the zero bossing. And we also have, if you have enough slots, you can definitely boost the more of a, I guess, movement type of zero skill set. And this goes into the Rolling Cross, Spin Cutter, Rolling Assault, and again, that's complement to it. So you need essentially 6 set of boost nodes for all of the skills that zeros have. It's kind of a lot, to be honest, a lot of boost nodes, but that's how zeros play, and whether you like it or not, it's there. And as far as burst, we use the Twin Blades of Time, which is the iframe skill that zeros have. It also does a huge chunk of damage, as well as the bind skill, and it also increases the attack speed, as well as other little tidbit of effects here and there. We also have decent Holy Symbol, which I use heavily for training and farming, and also Shadow Flash, again, one of its burst skill. We also have a passive called Eagle Weapon, and this is essentially a passive skill that activates every now and then. And we also have a burst skill that increases your attack power by a good amount, as well as reset any cooldowns. Now for farming, I basically use a bunch of decent skills, so Decent Sharp Eyes, Advanced Blessing, Speed Infusion, Combat Orders. Rope Lift I use for mainly Spirit Savior, otherwise I don't think zeros actually need Rope Lift. Of course, I have a bunch of skills that are on the side as well. And Weapon Aura is a good bossing skill, as well as Impenetrable Skin is a decent skill, which you don't really need, but if you have the slot, you can definitely put it in there as well. Will of Erda, basically for bossing, because zeros as of right now do not have any Hero's Will type of skill outside of Will of Erda, so I have this for just in case I go Black Mage in the future. I also have another bind, so when this bind is not up, I can use this one in bossing, assuming I solo bosses in the future. And there's also Arachnid Reflection, which I just left at level 1, and I haven't leveled it since. So that's essentially the whole skill set for zero and what nodes they use. Now, let me go over the, I guess more so the skills first. So the skills that zeros use are essentially basically almost every skill is on here. They're all maxed and you need to use all of them depending on the situation. So we have Time Distortion, which basically gives a +1 attack speed type of little barrier when you stand inside of it. We have Time Holding, which is the iframe skill, and this is such an OP time holding skill. It's a very OP iframe. It's a 3-minute cooldown iframe, but it lasts for 15 seconds, so it's a super OP iframe. Rewind, which is basically a door. Think of it as similar to a Bishop's Door, which is like gives an extra life. And then Shadow Rain is like a FMA plus a bind type of situation. It does bind mobs when you use Shadow Rain. That is different from other class binds like Urda Nova and the Zero bind. We also have Focus Time, which is basically an Echo of Hero, essentially. And now let's go over each individual skill. Now, as I mentioned, we use all skills in the zeros toolbox, and all of them are necessary for training slash bossing, depending on what you're doing. So basically, zeros work on a system that is similar to a combo type of system where they tag skills into another skill. So let's say we use Moonstrike. There's a complementary skill for the beta version, which is Rising Slash. And the skills just go on like that, essentially. So like Piercing Thrust has a combo tag skill of, what is it called? Air Riot. So it's this one. So whenever Alpha is using this skill, Beta will be using this skill, and that's only when the tag system is active. So to find out what each tag skill is, you just basically keep scrolling down and then it will show you what the assist skill is on the bottom. So let me go over briefly what the tag system is. So the tag system essentially, right now I'm in alpha mode, right? And if I use any beta skill, it'll put me in beta mode. And then you'll see a little tag thing on top of its head. And that essentially lasts for 3 seconds. While in tag mode, alpha will basically assist beta. If you're in alpha, then beta will assist alpha with her set of assist skills as mentioned in the skill description on the bottom. See how it says assist skill? Same thing on the other side. So the alpha will assist the beta and the beta will assist the alpha for a 3-second duration after you tag in and out. Same thing, once we switch, there's going to be another tag that lasts for around 3 seconds. One tag, the beta mode will assist my alpha mode for a duration of 3 seconds approximately. And then, let me show you. See how alpha assisted my beta with his set of skills. Same thing, if we go from beta to alpha, notice how beta is assisting alpha and using her set of skills. That is a complement to alpha. That's essentially what the tagging system is. And ideally, you want to be using the tag system because it essentially doubles your damage. And if you're not using the tag system, you're not going to be doubling your damage. You're just going to be using a part of your damage, and that's not ideal. So now let's talk about bind chaining. So bind chaining is basically a chain of binds that alpha and beta, or I guess the zero class, executes. And it essentially starts off with a chrono break, which is a class bind. And then once class bind starts, you can basically let it run for 10 seconds because the bind duration is 10 seconds. And then after 10 seconds, you basically proceed with your Shadow Rain, which is your zero bind. And then you use the Transcendent Rhine's Prayer to reset Shadow Rain, as well as any other skill that can be reset. And that essentially lets you use Shadow Rain again, which is another 3-second bind on top. So each Shadow Rain is 3 seconds, approximately. And then you also have Time Holding, which also, again, resets any skill that is resettable, and that resets Shadow Rain again. So you essentially have 3 Shadow Rains to use every few minutes, which is 9 seconds, plus the Chrono Break, which is another 10 seconds. You have a total of 19-second bind. Back then, you would also use Erozu, which is another OP bind on top that can stack 3 times, essentially, with Shadow Rain and everything. But now it's not really as useful anymore, especially for zeros. So we're not going to go into that. You can also have Lucid Bind. If your zero has Lucid Bind, that's a full, basically, 30 seconds worth of binding. And that is very OP. So for Shadow Rain, basically what you want to do is you want it to be in tag when you're using it so you can cancel it out and tag out of it. So let me show you what I mean. So right now I'm in alpha mode, right? And let's say I switch into beta mode. So while it has tag, I want to use Shadow Rain. So then I can go into alpha mode while I am Shadow Raining. If I don't do that, let's say I don't have tag on the top of my head right now, right? Let's say I use Shadow Rain right now, right? Then I can't cancel out of it. I cannot use alpha skills right now. So I tried to use alpha skills just now, but it just wouldn't work because you're not in tag. And afterwards, of course, you can still use the regular skills after Shadow Rain ends. But the idea is you want to be using Shadow Rain while you have tag on you. So like this. And then you can tag out of it and go to your next gender of characters. I hope that makes sense. That's like as simple as I can make it. If it doesn't make sense, then I guess you can try putting it in the comment section below and maybe I'll try to explain more, but it's quite simple. The idea is you want to have tag right here while before you use Shadow Rain, otherwise it won't let you use the opposite sex skill if you're not in tag mode. So that's basically the idea of it. It's just for DPS and animation cancel type of thing. And for zeros, one of the wonderful things about them is that they can cancel out skill animations very easily. So let's say I use decent combat orders, this skill right here. And right now I'm in alpha mode. To cancel out of the animation of decent combat orders, I can do a few things. So one, I can just hit combat orders and TP upward by holding up and the burst jump, which is this skill right here. And that basically helps me cancel out of skills and lets me do another skill after that. Or you can also do something that's utilizing the tag system. And what you do is, let's say use decent sharp eyes. I can tag alpha into beta, and then that cancels the skill for me. So it's a very nice little thing that zeros have. And some things I want to mention for the burst step. The burst step is a teleport when you're going up or down. So up, I don't know about down, but I think for up it's definitely, yeah, I think up and down are basically the teleport, and then left and right are essentially a huge rush. So basically what that means is, let's say in Gloom you can basically teleport over a meteor, but if you burst step, you're basically just rushing forward really fast. So if there's a meteor that's in the middle and you burst step into it, you can still get hit by it. Anyways, now let's go for zero training. For zero training, it is mind-numbingly simple. So let me show you what you usually do in the infamous zero map. Hopefully nobody's here. Looks like there's nobody here. Oh, thank God for Neo. Neo has basically made this map obsolete because all the zeros outlevel this map. So, bless Nexon. Anyways, essentially what you want to do for zeros when you're training, it's very simple. You basically only use 2 skill and a burst step. So it's the tornadoes, and then you have Giga Crash. Giga Crash assists into the tornadoes, and that's what you want. So basically you want the tornadoes to be your main mobbing skill essentially. And it's very lazy like, and it's very nice. So again, Giga Crash assists into tornadoes, and tornadoes assist into Giga Crash. But what we're looking for mainly is the tornadoes. We don't really care so much about Giga Crash. We care a lot about the tornadoes. And what you do is you just send it over and then use again the beta tag system to tag into alpha. And then you tag again, and then you tag again. So you send a bunch of tornadoes over, and again you tag into alpha. You tag into beta, and then you tag into alpha, and you send tornadoes over and over again. And then every now and then you just run over, do your burst steps, do your little movement skill, and you're essentially good. And that's how you train zeros, really. And for zeros, ideally you want to look for maps that are 2 platformed and very flat, and there are no broken platforms. So let me show you another example of what we look for, because then you can let your tornadoes do the work for you. So you send the tornadoes over here, and then you send the tornadoes, oh, wrong skill, but yeah. You send tornadoes over here again, and then you go up, and then you send tornadoes over again, and then you just repeat that for a few rounds, and then just loot the loot boxes and everything like that, the Masu and all of that. And then let me show you another example in Choo Choo. These again just examples. So what you want to do is again find maps. Oh, I'm stupid. What am I doing? Come on. Alright. So what you want to do, again, send tornadoes over. And then do the same thing. Go into beta mode. Send tornadoes over again. And then go up. send tornadoes over, and then do the same thing again. And let me show you how the tornadoes essentially just killed all of the monsters. So it's very lazy and easy training, and you just repeat that process over and over again. So that's essentially zero training in a nutshell. It's very simple, very easy to do. Don't make it complicated. You can of course do a bunch of crazy stuff like rolling cross, grand rolling cross, teleport, all of that bogus if you want to do, but it's just a lot more work and not as efficient, and you won't get as much EXP out of it. Now, same thing can be applied to lower level maps. So let's say, I think one of the best maps for low level is probably Fez 3. And for Fez 3, you essentially do a very similar thing where you just send tornadoes over to that side, and then you go up, and then you send tornadoes over again. You can actually send another tornado here. It's a bit more complicated. There are more platforms, but yeah, the idea is there where you just basically want to send tornadoes over and cover the whole map. That's the easiest way to train a zero. Now, for bossing, we have a... let me go to somewhere I can see my animations pretty easily. So let me turn my animations up a bit. Okay. So for bossing, we have a few ways of going about it. So let me put a screenshot up. So the combo that I'm mostly using, it doesn't really work that well right now because KMS just recently fixed it, and it will come to GMS in the future. But right now the combo on the screen is essentially you send okay, let me go into beta first. So what it means is you send tornadoes over, and then you use the Moonstrike series twice. So send tornadoes over, Moonstrike series twice, and then you use beta, and then you do double throwing weapon, and then you go back into alpha, and then you use 2 of his Moonstrikes, and then again beta, and then 2 throwing weapons, and then go into alpha mode, and then you do 2 shadow Moonstrikes again, and then you tag in and out again. So it doesn't work as well right now, especially because in this demonstration I do not have inner ability for attack speed, and I also don't have a green pot on, and yeah, you absolutely need that for the maximum DPS output. This is the other option that you see on the screen right here. And this is what they call the monolith combo, and essentially what you do is you use Moonstrike series 3 times essentially, and then you use the spin driver, and then you do a throwing weapon, and then you do an air raid, rising slash and air raid, and then you just keep repeating until alpha is able to be tagged. So the 3 seconds essentially. After 3 seconds, you go back into alpha mode, and then you repeat. Again, this is for bossing and it's not for training. So for those of you who are training and not really into boxing, this doesn't really matter to you. But this is the most optimized combos for zero if you're going into bossing. For training, again, very simple. You just basically send tornadoes over. Utilize your tornadoes, tag in and out of alpha and beta to initiate alpha's tornado. That's the main point of this. You want to keep alpha tornadoes going and its static field going at all times for training. So very simple, honestly, nothing too crazy, but you know, it does get a bit of time to get used to. I quite enjoy this class. Hopefully you guys do as well if you guys start playing it. But yeah, just give it some time and I'm pretty sure you guys will be mastering it in no time. Anyways, hope you guys liked this video. Be sure to like and subscribe if you did. Leave a comment if you have any questions. And as always, I will see you guys in the next video.